Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Roota.com. Silver, nice little jump today. Is it breaking free? Who the hell knows? 25 years of watching this. I've seen bigger jumps. I've seen, the good thing about what's going on right now is nobody is long silver, supposedly, except every single manufacturer on the planet needs to get their hands on some. India, China, and Russia are buying some. But apparently there's no retail buyers in silver. There's no hedge funds in silver. There was an article posted at Kitco, which is Kitco is a mouthpiece arm for the riggers. I hope everybody knows that by now. They used to have these things called pooled accounts. I think they kind of do still. It was a joke. It's basically how to invest in silver without investing in silver. Silver derivatives are not silver. They have nothing to do with silver other than to control the price. That's it. So Kitco used to. I remember they used to have a pool that was based on the Royal Bank of Canada's inventory or something to that effect. So when the Royal Bank of Canada ran out of silver for the Maple Leafs, they were naked. Kitco was naked, just like the Perth Mint did the same thing. And when there's no inventory of silver, everybody who had pooled accounts were completely naked. And this has been shown many times. And Kitco is a joke because they only publish articles that have never been published anywhere else on any other website. I'm like, why? It's so ridiculous. You never get a different point of view. They publish the point of view they want you to think about. And here's their latest. Silver loses investment luster, may not hold up much longer as precious metals prices enter narrowing wedge. So says traders. It's such bullshit. Kitco News. Silver's gain in industrial demand may have cost it some investment appeal. And if gold breaks below key support, the gray metals price could collapse along with PGMs, according to senior commodities traders. Kevin Grady is president of Phoenix Futures and Options. He told Kitco News that where silver was long seen as the obvious leverage play on gold prices, in recent years he's seen a shift away from silver on the part of investors. Quote, silver is not as in play, and I don't think people look at it much for store of value. Tell that to every stacker on the planet. Plus, if you want to take, I don't know, $2 billion and invest in gold, think of how much that is, how much you need to store. Now think of how much $2 billion worth of silver is. It's a lot. It's just a lot more to move, and you've got to ship it, and everything has to get on a boat. It's just more cumbersome. What he's saying is there isn't $2 billion worth of silver. Why would he want to invest in something that there's not enough of? Duh, moron. You got to put it on a boat because it's not 2 billion ounces of silver anywhere. It's got to come from somewhere. And then he gets into why he thinks this. It's all about price, 100%. When you live in a rigged market, price is irrelevant. The only thing that matters about price is the commitment of traders report. Which way are the banks rigging today? It really never has been the place that people run to. It always just has gone up with sympathy with gold. But silver's really never been in vogue. Silver just trades alongside gold. Silver is in vogue for the retail buyer when it approaches $50. It's 1980 all-time high. That is not allowed. The silver market is fake. It's rigged. And this guy knows it better than the other because he points out every single reason why people are staying away from silver, and it's a ridiculous argument. It's just dumb. Grady believes that the industrial demand for silver has risen steadily with electrification, and that the solar build-out, the gray metal, has lost some of its upside on the investment side. That is so ridiculous. Listen to what he's saying. Because everybody in the investment, in the manufacturing world is clamoring for silver, the investment side is not going to go up. It's just the dumbest thing I've ever read, heard, and there's even more. I used to make silver trade spreads, and it's $5 a tick. It was basically double the commissions on trades. Well, there you go. He's a derivative trader. What do you expect? So you're taking a risk on it, but you're paying double the commissions that you pay on a gold spread, which is $10. There's a lot of different things with silver, and the exchanges never fix anything. It's just tough. Right now, the play is gold, and I think that's where you're seeing a lot of the speculators. But even on the industrial side, Grady says silver isn't necessarily the most efficient metal to capture price changes based on shifts in demand. Well, it should be, but the price is rigged. I think platinum and palladium, when you see things happen in the industrial space, I think that's what moves those. When Russia invaded Ukraine, palladium traded up $3,000. So I think that was the play, he said. But now I think people look at the charts. Where's the money going? But where's the move going? If I'm going to invest more, I'm going to take a position in this. The percentage move is going up in gold. That's where everybody's trading. So that's where you want to be. So Grady, you're saying everybody's long in gold. Nobody's long in silver. Nobody will be long in silver, except because everybody's long in gold, they're going to trade it and it's going to go down, and silver's just going to follow, even though there's nobody long silver. And the industrial demand is going to stay the same. Silver has nothing to do with supply and demand. It has 100% to do with derivatives traded on the COMEX at 500 times what the underlying metal is. It's just so obvious. But, shit like this gets around and people send me emails. Oh, my God, I have to get out of silver now. You're crazy if you get out of silver. You're into silver for the end game, the end of silver COMEX manipulation. That's the reason to be into silver. So let's see how close we are. And Jeffrey Christian's latest. Oh, my God, silver is clearly not in, the price is high, but it's clearly not in demand. There's more silver than you can shake a stick out. There's so much silver, it's crazy. Just look at the warehouse inventories on the COMEX. They've gone from 300 million ounces to 500 million ounces. And is it true? Yes, right here. 310 million ounces in January, all the way up to 500 million ounces. Now, why is that? Jeffrey Christian said, because there's just so much silver. Silver's coming out your ears. But what happened to the COMEX during that time? How many people stood for delivery in the past year? Well, we know that. It's right here. It's in the CME data. It's 41,185 contracts, which is 206 million ounces. Wait a minute. That's the exact same amount as went in the warehouse. So you're telling me of everything in the warehouse, they couldn't find any extra silver for people taking delivery this year. Wouldn't you think that would be very bullish on the price of silver? If they can't get the silver out within the silver COMEX trading warehouses, they can't get any of it. And why do I say that? Because 200 million ounces stood for delivery this year, and 200 million ounces were added to the COMEX this year. That means nothing on the COMEX was really available. None of it. Not an ounce. So, yeah, people stood for delivery, and it's going to happen again. This month, we're on fire. 73 million ounces already. A little over 2 million left to deliver. On the micro silver, nobody talks about the micro silver. So there's a contract for 1,000 ounces, not the 5,000 ounces, 1,000 ounces that is all ponied up by CME, the owner of the exchange. And that's 14,685, sorry, right here, 1,885 contracts, which is almost 2 million ounces. I think we'll hit 2 million ounces there. And then we still have 6 trading days, another about 4 million ounces, because people are still taking delivery. Look at this. Right here. Here's what's happening every day in silver. Silver futures started out 11,000 contracts, 9, and it always does that. In the beginning, because whoever's getting rid of their silver doesn't want to keep it in inventory. Unless you don't have anything in inventory, then you got to go out and get it. So look, it was fading off, and then it just kept going. Look at this. This is serious amounts of silver. I mean, that's 750,000 ounces going on a single day on a late in the month delivery day. It just keeps going and going and going. And look at this. All of a sudden, we're getting to 73. We are at right now. with 10 trading days, I think there's going to be about 4 million ounces more. So we're at 82 million ounces is my projection for the end of the month. 82 million ounces compared to last delivery month, which was just about 82 million ounces. We might even beat last delivery month. And then what happens? Then we have June, and then we have July. Currently, July open interest is over 500 million ounces. Now, yes, the criminals that Jeff Christian, love to talk about. Oh, everybody rolls over. Oh, they're the fabricators and all that. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's the criminal banks rolling over their short position to control the price every month. So what are they going to do? Come up with 100 million ounces in July and then add another 100 million ounces to the warehouse because they don't have it? It's literally, what does this tell us? What does the addition of 200 million ounces of silver in 2025 to the COMEX warehouses is almost exactly the amount of contracts stood for delivery. That means nothing in the warehouse is in play. It's just storage. I don't care if it's registered. I don't care if it's eligible. If any of that was in play, they wouldn't have had to add 200 million ounces to the warehouses. But they did because they had to fulfill the deliveries. I think the most important thing about this is, when did it all start? When did this all start? Let's go back to the most pivotal year for silver, 2021. Back January, end of January, beginning of February 2021, it was all about the silver squeeze. Remember that? It was all about the silver squeeze. And what happened? How did they stop the squeeze? Rustin Benham, the head of the CFTC, said, we are going to tamp down the silver market. How did they do that? They had JP Morgan Chase lease 1.2 billion ounces of silver to JP Morgan, who put it into the market with all kinds of crazy structured deals that Bank of America had. So it's JP Morgan providing the physical metal. Yes, the same JP Morgan that got busted for rigging the silver market, the same JP Morgan that's always been the naked short when they took it over Bear Stearns, the same JP Morgan that is in charge of SLV. Well, do you want to take a look at SLV inventories, see what it has done during the time period since the silver short, the silver squeeze, which was February, beginning of February 2021? Well, this is the SLV inventory. Look at this. It was down under 600, and all of a sudden, February 2nd, 2021. Don't try to tell me that they don't use SLV to rig the silver market. Of course they do. Inventories jumped to 729 million in the height of the squeeze. And since they've been selling it off, and it's now at 500, another 220 million. It's all the same silver, all the same game, derivatives galore, a con job. We are in the middle of a con job, and it's been going on for so damn long. Now, I think, look at the slow push down on inventories, this was actually being gobbled up by the industrial side. This is that leased silver from JP Morgan, gobbled up by the industrial side, and then all of a sudden you have it bottomed out. It just so happens at the end of 2024, that's when Bank of America stopped leasing from JP Morgan. And all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, it starts going up. And when do those leases come due? They were all under 1 year, but they keep rolling the years. Now they don't want to roll the year. That's why, literally, that entire 4 years, 3.5 years, 4 years of leasing silver, JP Morgan to Bank of America to all the other banks and their crazy products, it all has to come home to roost. And that's why you're seeing that game is almost ending. We heard this from Jenny Moonstone years before it even started. On the private road at Road to Root, we talked about it. She's like, they got a new plan, and it's going to work for a while, and then it will stop working. Right now, everybody and their mother is demanding their silver back from these freaking crazy leases. Will it get back to JP Morgan? I doubt it. Now, a lease doesn't have to go back to the original owner of the metal. You can write a lease for anything with any kind of end game. You can say, oh, you have fair market value purchase option. You have a fixed rate purchase option. You have a renewal option. I think all the renewal options are ending, and that's why we're seeing massive amounts of silver coming into the COMEX because they don't have it available. So every time someone asks for delivery, they got to bring a new ounce of silver into the COMEX. That's just screaming. And Jeffrey Christian says, oh, there's just so much silver. There's 500 million ounces of silver in the COMEX warehouses. That's all for sale. No, that's all for storage is what it is. Who owns it? How many times do they own it? JP Morgan rehypothecates every ounce of silver. How much of the 500 is actually SLV silver? You know, there was a lot of talk that it was silver coming from England to the U.S. right before all the tariff stuff. Well, if you got 500 million ounces in the warehouse and you have 500 million ounces right here is the inventory of SLV, and we know that JP Morgan rehypothecates silver, there you go. That silver right there is owned by SLV. And no, JP Morgan does not own it just because they are custodian. As a matter of fact, they have fiduciary responsibilities. Nor does BlackRock own it because they all sold it to the shareholders of SLV. Can they cash it in? They can do whatever they want. It's their game. They make the rules, they change the rules. But it's the same silver being played. If you want to know how much silver is available at any price, it's probably 500 million ounces. Meanwhile, India is soaking up every ounce they can get. China is soaking up every ounce that they can get. Russia's soaking up every ounce that they can get. And by the way, Silver Eagles are still on allocation, which is the biggest joke ever. But we don't have a head of the mint. We have an acting head of the mint. Maybe she's been confirmed. I'm not quite sure. No, I don't think she's the same as Ventures Gibson, the DEI hire, diversity, equity, and inclusion hire. She was horrific. But she's just carrying out, her boss's orders. But yeah, my talk with Jack Sermon, the head of Silver Eagle Sales, he said basically they're breaking 5 laws, and Ventures Gibson told Jack Sermon, the head of Silver Eagle Sales, the director of the mint told the head of Silver Eagle Sales not to sell as few Silver Eagles as possible. And I have it. It's on recording. Go to roadtoroota.com. Go to the public road, which is the first page you'll see. Scroll down, find out all about that exciting stuff. Scroll down. There it is. Click on it. It should play.
Let this soft mineral melt.
Of course,
in
we
your
got
mouth to
commercials.
reverse prostate growth and never need a urologist again.
There's one simple pepper trick that anyone can
It's
do at
coming.
home to relieve nerve pain.
I gotta
Never
take all
admitted
the
this
commercials
publicly.
off this thing.
Hey guys, Bix. He was required by law. Now, I didn't get into him about that. He's not allowed.
Billion coins
There he is.
through a small group of primary dealers.
Okay, so, well, here we have Jack Sermon, the head of Silver Eagle Bullion Sales, saying the demand is north of 30 million coins.
I want congressional hearing. It goes on and on and on and on. And then if the Republicans are in power, the Democrats are going to say the same thing. Doesn't matter who's in office, what administration it is. The bottom line is there is only one supplier.
So we get into all kinds of great things about Silver Eagles. Go check that out. It's a 3-part interview. By the end, we're buddies, and he's telling me all the scoop. And he told me that Ventures Gibson came to him and said, do not sell any Silver Eagles. He said, we can't do that. Then she came back and said, sell as few as possible. Everything's on allocation. Don't make them. As few as possible. Completely illegal. Go check that out. Okay, so where are we? Interesting times. Yes, I think we will have the largest delivery year in COMEX history. We're already at 200 million ounces. We're not even 5 months in. There's still 1, 2, 3 delivery months. So we've been through 2 delivery months. There's 3 more left. Let's see, is that right? July, September, and December. Yeah, 3 more left. So are we going to do 500 million ounces, which blows away any record of silver deliveries in any month? And where are they going to come up with the extra 300 million? Because India wants it. India needs it. They're trying to expand their solar program, believe it or not. China wants it. They're making every manufactured product. China's going right to the source. They're going to the mines. I'll buy your doré. This game is not long for the world, but how do they do it? Of course, futures and options. Just look at it's getting low. The trading volume is getting so low, but it's still at 36,000 contracts. That's what 180 million ounces traded in a day. I've seen 2 billion ounces traded a day. So it looks like something's dying off. The deliveries of silver are through the roof, and most of these trades are the banks trading back and forth with each other. That's all it is. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's orchestrated by a guy named Vinny Viola of Virtu Financial. They do most of the rig type trades. So, and you know, people worry, say, Bix, it can't be true because then the silver shorts would be losing money as they close out the shorts. I said, no. It's a con. They're working together. If I lose $1 billion in silver and you make $1 billion of silver, we'll swap it for gold. For example, I'll make $1 billion in gold and you'll lose $1 billion in gold, and we'll take our premiums out of everything. We'll just trade back and forth. The losses I have in silver, I'm going to make up for in gold, and vice versa. It is a game. It is a con. And it's all set and programmed into computer programs. They can click a mouse and put the price of silver at minus $40. They did it with oil. They can do it with silver, gold. They can do it with the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar concept, everybody's, the dollar's going to crash. Crash against what? With foreign currencies, all they're measured up against is each other's foreign currencies. The U.S. dollar will never crash. We control it with derivatives too. Crash compared to the yuan, compared to the yen, compared to the ruble. It's all fiat bullshit. And Elon's already told us we're printing trillions of dollars and not telling anybody. I don't know why anybody's still even playing with this game. Because they have no other mindset of what else you can do. You can get into cryptos, absolutely. Do I think stablecoin bullshit is going to happen? Absolutely. Why? Because there's artificial demand for the U.S. dollar. That's why Trump likes it. It's just like when Greenspan and Kissinger went to the Middle East and said, hey, in the early 70s, we're going off the gold standard, but you're going to require everybody at OPEC to buy oil in U.S. dollars so that every country on the planet has to hold U.S. dollars. Artificial demand. And that worked for maybe 10, 15 years until they didn't need it anymore. Then they went to the NYMEX, the most criminal exchange on the planet back then, probably now still, and said, let's trade oil derivative contracts. That way we don't have to worry about anything else. So by the end of the 90s, that's what was rigging the price of oil. Oil derivative contracts. It still is. Now people are moving away from that. What's going to be next? What are we going to do to support the U.S. dollar? Hey, let's invent stable coins. So they'll have artificial demand for the U.S. dollar. Now, when these things fall apart because of mismanagement, which they always do, what are they going to be selling? U.S. dollars. What are all the banks who are loading up on gold right now? What are they going to be selling? Gold. They're required by law to stay solvent. So any bank that's loading up on gold right now, and according to Andy Schectman, that's a hell of a lot of them. And I believe him. I think he's right with the Basel III Accords and all that. Gold is a tier 1 asset. But don't forget, in a collapse of the financial system, a bank is required by law to liquidate assets to cover debts. In a fractional reserve system, that means they're going to liquidate everything. And what's the easiest thing for them to liquidate? Gold. Probably U.S. dollars first. And gold. And then what else? Bitcoin. Yeah, they're loaded up on Bitcoin. Is the price of Bitcoin going to dive? Absolutely. XRP. Not that any of the banks will hold any. Of course they don't. XRP is a con. And don't you look at the comments. They've been paying guys to make comments forever. Now they just do it with bots. Every time I say XRP, you big shit, don't know what you're talking about. It's gone up, blah, 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 blah. I'm in it for the end game. I have 2 or 3 main investments and a smattering of others. Number 1 investment is silver. Silver's been price suppressed for 180 years. The end of that price suppression is what free markets will reign. At the end of the day, after that is done, it will take down every criminal bank on the planet. You know, you take JP Morgan down, you take 60 trillion of counterparty derivatives away, and every bank implodes. No checking accounts, no savings accounts, no 401ks. The stock market won't be working at all. Everything has to work for the system to continue to operate. If you take out one of the 2 big to fail components, it's over. And that's where we're headed. So hang on tight. You know, I heard guys say it's going to happen in June because Cliff High's data, and he's, you know, I had a guy tell me in June. Okay, would I be surprised? No. It's going to happen. I think it should have happened in 1913. They decided, hey, we found billions and billions and billions of ounces of gold in the Grand Canyon. What do we do? Oh, let's set up the Federal Reserve System to prolong this agony. It would have destroyed countries. It would have changed everything if all of a sudden gold wasn't the most valuable asset on the planet back in the early 1900s. Why do you think they met on Jekyll Island? Why do you think Woodrow Wilson actually signed the Federal Reserve Act? It's 100% because of the gold in the Grand Canyon. Would have destroyed everything. They had a 10-year charter, then a 20-year charter, and you know, why in 1933? Why do you think they confiscated gold? 20-year charter. Everything lines up. This is the end game. The derivative bubble will be popped. That means every single derivative, 3 quadrillion worth, will be destroyed. You won't be able to use your checking account, your savings account, your 401k. Will it come back as something? I don't know. They're trying to jigger it. You know, they're doing their best. The idea was destroy everything and then reissue a gold-backed currency based on Social Security payments. What do you do, Social Security? How long have you worked into the system? Give everybody kind of a baseline, because you can't have people with nothing. And then give the people who've worked the hardest the most. Out of all the gold in the Grand Canyon, at Chocolate Mountain, there's so much gold around the world. Yamashita's gold. Asia's kind of in the same boat. It's not like these big countries don't know what's happening. They do. They've been preparing for it. Not as much as the U.S. has been preparing for it, but they know. You ask anybody with half a brain in the economics field, this is unsustainable. I heard the beautiful New Deal will add $5 trillion to the debt. Of course it will. All those 14 computers added $50 trillion to the debt. Except nobody cares anymore. No one plans to pay it back. Anyway, that's what we're going through. Go to roadrooter.com. There's so much to learn, so much information. I got Jenny tomorrow. We'll be talking about other stuff. About when this is all going to go down, what will it look like and feel like, and will you even know it, or will it all be behind the scenes? And go check it out. To join the private road at roadtoRoota.com, click on subscribe today. We are giving away, at least for now, 10 Theta, 100 T fuel, 1,000 T drop. My number 2 investment right now. If I had a ton of money, I'd probably put it all in T fuel. We've got a massive announcement coming up in June of the decentralized hybrid cloud through the edge nodes. There's just so much that is hidden within the Theta ecosystem, and nobody in crypto knows about it, and nobody in the tech world knows about it, but other than the partners, which like Google, Samsung, Sony, Amazon, they all know decentralized cloud services is coming. They just don't want to, they don't want to rock their horse first, but they are partners with Theta, and they know how big this is going to be. So get your T-Fuel in your pocket. And the reason I say T-Fuel over Theta is the governance token, which is great. So people will probably invest in that first. It might run first, but the ratio right now is 23-1. And at some point, a year or two down the line, when everybody's, all these transactions are firing off on Theta, that will be burning T-Fuel, and you'll see like a 1-to-1 type of ratio for a while, and it probably will beat that. So, and it's currently 23-1. It's a little bit like gold and silver, except gold and silver is in the extreme at 100-1 right now. So, first get your silver in your own possession. No silver stocks or bonds or anything. Those will be gone instantly. And you'll understand why when the system falls apart and Mexico goes, oh my God, the peso's not worth anything. We don't have anything. We have a lot of silver. But foreign companies own the shares and the stock market isn't even working. We're going to nationalize it, obviously. The U.S. will too. Every country will look around their borders. Why do you think Trump wants to expand the border of the United States of America? Bring everybody in under the United States of America, because everybody's going to look at what they got and how we're going to go forward. And Canada's very natural resource intense, and Mexico's got all the silver. So it's also why Trump came back from Mexico the first term and said Mexico's going to pay for the wall. And everybody's, he's crazy. And I'm like, they would if silver was $1,000 an ounce, because everybody from California, everybody from Texas, everybody from New Mexico will be running into Mexico to get silver to work, because Mexico will be thriving. 1,000 ounces of silver, $1,000 an ounce, $10,000 an ounce, whatever it ends up. I think it'll be a 1-to-1 relationship with gold. Right now it's 100-to-1. It's a no-brainer of a lifetime. Why do you think the banks want to stop this? They don't want you to succeed. Absolutely not. And then guys like this writing these ridiculous articles, and people actually read this shit. And you got to think for yourself, or you're going to be screwed. So I got for you. Go to roadrooter.com, join the private road, and we will send you this paper wallet mailed to your front door with every private road 1-year subscription. Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.